This is Sam, and I'm going to be storytelling the Brothers Grimm version of Sleeping Beauty. So, once upon a time, there lived a king and queen. They were very unhappy because they didn't have any children. And then one day, their prayers were answered, and a little girl was born to them. They were so overjoyed, they decided to hold a big feast to celebrate. So, since the king wanted this to be a big celebration, he invited all the fairies in the land, and they could find 7 fairies. And they give them gold plates, forks, knives, spoons, everything pure gold, like nice. And so they're seated, but at the last minute, kind of a I don't know, little wicked fairy showed up. It was a little grouchy because she didn't get invited, but they didn't know because she'd been out of the kingdom for 50 years, and she just showed up to kind of be a party pooper. And so they seat her, but they don't have a gold plate or anything like that. And they're like, oh gosh, she's upset. So then the fairies, after they've all eaten, decide that since they're going to be the godmothers to this child, they're going to give her gifts. And one of the godmothers says she would be as beautiful as a rose in the rain. Or another way to put it would be the most beautiful woman in the land. And they're like, pretty sweet. And then another one came and gave her the gift of song. She said, I believe that she should sing like the nightingale. And I thought, hmm, singer, nice. So then another one came and another one came, and they bestowed these nice, beautiful gifts on her so that whenever she grew up, she was going to be set. Boy, I mean, she's a good looker. She can dance. She can sing. Nice. One of the fairies, though, decided that she was going to make sure that the old evil fairy didn't go up to, come up with any shenanigans. So she hid and saved her gift. So then the evil fairy stands up and says, now I'm going to bestow my gift upon the child. And then she says that once the child turns 17, she shall prick her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel, and she shall die. That's pretty bad. And the king and queen grieved. They were so sad to hear this and to think, how are they going to save her? And then the last fairy, the good one, the good fairy godmother, came out and said, I can't undo what has been done, but I can try to help. So she bestows her gift. Her gift is that when she pricks her finger on the spinning wheel at 17, that instead of death, she shall fall into a deep sleep, and she shall sleep and dream sweet dreams until a prince comes and wakes her up with true love's kiss. So everyone went home after the party. The king and queen decided to act as rationally as possible and decided to order all of the spinning wheels in the land kingdom burned. Like, we're gonna have a big bonfire. She ain't touching her finger on no spinning wheel. I don't think so. So they burn on the spinning wheels. And she grows up and she's the most beautiful girl in the world. She can sing, she can dance, she's, having fun, living life. But on her 17th birthday, her parents let her wander around the castle, and she goes up to the attic, and she finds an old woman there who's so old that she never heard about the order that the king had to destroy all spinning wheels, and she was spinning silk. And she said, hello there, little girl. Would you like to spin? She said, I've never spun before. And the old woman said, it's very easy. Here, let me show you. And, well, Slee, well, I guess her name would have been Aurora first. And Aurora said, okay. And when she reached out, somehow the spindle of the spinning wheel pricked her finger, and she immediately fell into a deep sleep. And of course, the king and queen were very upset. But the fairy came and said she will sleep until the prince wakes her up in 100 years. So the fairy put everyone in the kingdom in the castle to sleep, from the chef that was about to slap the kitchen boy to the horses, the dogs, and the butlers, and everybody else, except for the king and queen, for they could not take the heartache of losing their daughter. So they left. So the castle sat there for 100 years, and as it sat there, a forest grew around the castle. And this forest was like trees and vines and like thorns, and it was just like a bad forest. You did not want to go in there because it looked like as soon as you stepped in there, you would be lost. So, 100 years later, this prince from a neighboring kingdom, he's just, trucking along, riding his horse, zippity doo dah day, having a good time. He had some buddies with him, and the buddies were like, "Hey, my dad told me back a long time ago that there's a really, really cute girl that's asleep in one of those towers in that castle that's in that wood." And that prince is like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, bro, go check it out, man. Let's see what it's all about." And as the prince approached the forest, the trees and vines spread apart for him to pass. And as he went through, they went back together, and none of his bros could follow him. So he decided, well, I'm going to go see what's up at this castle. Obviously, this forest is enchanted. And so he eventually walked, and he eventually found the castle. And he saw a lot of sleepy people standing around, laying around, all frozen. So he goes exploring through the castle. You know, he's checking things out. He sees the cook about to slap the boy, and he's like, "Well, that's not right." So he takes the cook's hand and moves it to where he's going to miss and maybe slap himself. And so he goes exploring some more and goes up to the tallest tower, and he goes and climbs his way to the top and thought, well, at least I have a good view of the kingdom from up here, see what's all going on where I'm at. But once he arrives there, he sees a sleeping beauty. Roll credits. And what does he do? He thinks she's the most beautiful woman on the face of this planet. He's just beauty out of this world. He's like, oh my gosh. And he's just like, I'm going to give her a kiss. He's like, I'll just kiss and see what happens. See if something, you know, what's going to happen. So he gives Sleeping Beauty a kiss. And she wakes up. And then the spell is broken, and everybody else wakes up. And she looks at him and says, "Are you my prince?" And he said, "Well, I guess I am." So, what happened then? Well, they talked all night long. It was all cute. And I'm sure she had a lot of questions about what happened, since she fell asleep. And they decided the next day that they were going to get married. So, with all her servants and everything else back awake again, they prepared a large feast, had a nice little wedding, got married, and then they walked out. And he was like, "I'm going to go introduce you to my mom and dad. They're going to love you." So, the prince gave the princess his hand. They all went to the great hall for supper. The next day, the prince took his bride to his father's palace. I am writing this. And there they lived happily ever after. I messed up. Let's see what